this video, I am in no way trying to discredit anyone's beliefs, as I think religion, spirituality, or lack of it is entirely one's personal choice. I am, however, opposed to it being taught in schools, as it's all based in faith rather than academic fact. Today I am going to discuss some of these facts that are not in fact true. The most obvious one is that Jesus was not a Christian, even though it's said without a thought over and over. Jesus was a Jew. The definition of a Christian is a follower of Christ Jesus. Therefore, how or why would he be a follower of himself? The term Christian didn't appear till years after his death, and the majority of the rules were established by the leaders, not Jesus. In the early years before it was a religion, it was thought to be a Jewish cult. Jesus did not write any of the Bible. The New Testament contains 4 books written by eyewitnesses, and much of the rest concerns the early followers and their thoughts. Even though it is well established that Jesus was not white, he is still portrayed that way all around the world. Not only was he not white, Jesus wasn't even his real name. It was Joshua, which translates to Joshua. We learn he and his father Joseph, who wasn't actually his biological father, were carpenters, but the Bible never states this. It translates to craftsmen, which was construed to be woodwork. But in that time and part of the world, carpentry was not much in demand. Houses were all stone, so it's much more likely that their craft was that of stonemasons, although we will never know for sure. We are told Christmas is celebrating the birth of Jesus, but there's no evidence at all to support this. In fact, historians claim that by going through the finer details, it was far more likely that he was born in spring. The choice to have his birth celebrated at that time dates back to the Romans. When taking on Christianity as their main religion, they wanted to keep their feast days as close as possible to their old pagan ones, to avoid too much disruption. Christmas coincides with the pagan feast of Yule. So let's go back to his Immaculate Conception, a once-off amazing event never replicated. When Jesus was a child, he was found to be teaching in the temple and displaying knowledge way beyond his years. And the Bible states that Mary and Joseph were amazed. Now, if they knew he was the Son of God and conceived divinely, I find it a bit odd that having an intelligent child would amaze them. But maybe it's just bad translation. Just like when it says he had 4 brothers and sisters, we are told no, it didn't mean siblings, it meant friends. Just like hanging out with my bros. If it isn't just misunderstanding of certain terminology, then it's a metaphor, like you must be born again, not being about reincarnation. Or what about the 2 quotes stating that those in his midst would see the second coming in their lifetime? Why do scholars assume to know what he meant, and that it must be a metaphor? As how can they truly decipher then what is literal and what isn't? The Bible is meant to be absolute truth, but in places it condones rape and slavery and many other unsavoury practices that could not be promoted nowadays. So we are told it was cultural. It needs to be put in the perspective of the time. Just like that the Bible tells us that the earth is flat and that the planets revolve around the earth. I can accept that it was the thinking of the time, but if inspired by an all-knowing God, then why wouldn't those who were imparted with this information have got it right? Jesus never mentioned anything about homosexuality, so the bigotry does in fact stem from these same texts that say it's okay to commit rape, incest and murder, all for the most part now declared obsolete, as it was in the context of the time. But still to this day, most Christian churches hold fast to the passages relating to same-sex relationships. A real case of cherry-picking what they want. It's an interesting subject, and if you want to go down the rabbit hole, there's multitudes of resources more reliable than myself. But I really can't justify how something with so many holes is taken by so many people without question.